I have been waiting a long time to do this podcast, and I love this. Today's podcast is to show prices or not to show prices. Now, before I go any further, I just want to say that obviously this is a disagreement with me and Gavin Shields, but it comes from a massive place of love and respect. I think Gavin is one of, do you know what? I don't know many people in the industry that I respect more than his opinion. And I've got to say that I love the fact that me and Gavin disagree because I would hope he'd say this, but it brings out the best in him because then he's looking at his data, and it brings out the best in me because I'm looking at my data. And then we come together, we debate it because we disagree. And I believe that we've both got strong opinions, but they're loosely held. And ultimately, all we want is the best for the industry. Gavin wants the best conversion rates for you guys, and I want the best conversion rates ultimately for me, but and for you guys as well. And so I really, even though I disagree, so I want to get this across straight away because I don't want it to come across like I'm having a go at Gavin's post or Gavin was having a go at me, because it's not like that at all. It is, I've got a genuine amount of love, respect, admiration for Gavin. I think he is going to do amazing things in self-storage, and I think he's already doing amazing things, and he definitely makes me better. However, I don't agree with everything he says. And this is what we're going to get into on this podcast. And by the way, obviously, I haven't, when I'm recording this, by the way, I haven't extended the interview for him to come on the podcast, but I will do. The only one problem that I have with this is that Gavin is very cool, and I'm the furthest thing from cool. And so, yes, I can construct an argument if you give me time like this. I've wrote all my points out. I can construct a really good argument and construct it around what I feel is correct. But at the time when I debate somebody face to face, then that's probably not my skill set. However, I am more than happy for Gavin to come on because I would, firstly, I love talking to Gavin every single chance I get. I think I always learn something. And secondly, ultimately, I don't think this is a correct answer at the minute. And we've only got a small sample size, but we've got different opinions. But ultimately, it's whether we're right or not, we're asking the right questions. That is the fundamental thing here. We're asking the right questions, which will improve the conversion rates for me, you, him, everybody. So it's nothing to do. It's just because people disagree, that is elevating the consciousness. It's elevating our skill set because we've got to construct arguments to back our case up. And that can only be good for both of us. It can only be good for the industry. Okay, right. So Gavin put a post on, it was a few days ago now, and I haven't actually replied to it because I've got so many notes that just take over his post. And so I will reply probably in a little weird way, or I might put a LinkedIn post, or when this goes live, I might have already done a LinkedIn post. So I'm going to read you Gavin's post because it was super, super well constructed, as you bloody expect from Gavin. He's a very good writer, very intelligent, very articulate, all the things that I'm not. So I probably couldn't do a post like this, but I'm going to read it to you because it's got some very, very good points. Show prices versus hide prices on your self-storage website. Which is better? Finally, some data. Dean Booty, that's me, at Stormore, showed prices on his website from the 20th of January until the 14th of March, then hid prices from then on. What happened? And by the way, can I just say that was 141 days. So that's very important. From January the 20th to the 14th of March is 141 days. So from the 20th of January to the 14th of March, he showed prices. That was an average of 41.7 square foot booked per day on average. From the 14th of March to the 22nd of April, he hid prices. I don't like the word hid, by the way. I disagree with that. And that was 39 days. And there was 103.1 square foot booked per day on average. So the uplift was 2.47 times, which is pretty good. It's pretty substantial. I'm sure everybody agree that that's pretty goddamn good. And by the way, I think that everybody should go and read this post because it is so well constructed. And this is a guy, by the way, who is running Stora. So if you ever want to see how articulate somebody is and how passionate they are and how much they think about their product, to construct this on a LinkedIn post is incredible. And so if he's doing that for LinkedIn posts, just imagine what Stora is going to be in a year's time, 6 months' time. It's already a fantastic product, but it's going to get better and better and better. Right. So he went on to say, wow, I was absolutely amazed at this and thought it was time to call Dean and eat some humble pie. I never received that phone call. And here's why. But before I picked up the phone, I decided to take I look at my own site where I was showing prices the entire time compared the exact same dates. So 20th of March to the 14th of March, show prices, 16.4 square foot booked on average per day. 14th of March until the 22nd of April, still showing prices. Remember, that was the time that I wasn't showing prices. I was hiding prices, if you like. So that was 36.7 square foot booked per day on average. That's an uplift of 2.24 times. So 2.47 times versus 2.24 times equals a very small, it's a very small sample size. I agree, 100%. It's a very, very small sample size. Basically, exactly the same result. Don't agree there, and I'll get into that in a bit. I could see now why Dean has been saying that hiding prices has led to lots more bookings, because it has. But this data suggests that the uplift has been down entirely to the time of year and not the switch in hiding prices. Firstly, I can see why Gavin's got to that conclusion, but like I said, I'm going to disagree and hopefully construct a good argument as to why it's wrong. Another thing to bear in mind is that hiding prices and contacting leads is a more expensive way to run self-storage business compared with showing prices and letting customers book themselves. The increased cost of hiding prices would need to be more than covered by an increase in sales. This data suggests that this is definitely not happening. I disagree on that one. And again, we're going to get into that, but I do agree that showing prices is more costly because you've got staff. But also it depends on what, I haven't actually put this down. It's this isn't a point, but it depends how much you care about your customers. So do you care about your customers getting the right size, understanding, not feeling overwhelmed? Because if you do, then unfortunately, that's an investment. Even if it was no uplift, that's an investment that I'm willing to make anyway, because I want my customers to have the best understanding and best knowledge. Because how many customers come into a self-storage facility, think they need a 50 square foot and end up needing a 75 or 100? I know from personal experience, even with the size guides on the website, that happens loads. I wouldn't get it right. And I own self-storage companies. And so how the hell is a customer going to get it right when they don't own any self-storage companies or never been in self-storage before? So and by the way, there's an upsell there. There's an upsell. You can always upsell somebody. If I think they need a 75 square foot, you can always upsell them to 100 square foot if it's ethically correct. I'm not saying upsell somebody when they don't need it, because that is obviously plainly wrong. Okay, so Gavin went on to say, conclusion, show your prices online. Don't hide them behind a contact form. That's what his conclusion is, and yet we do hide our prices behind a contact form. Next steps. This is a small sample size, and the only way to get a confirmed result in this debate is to run A versus B split tests on big enough sample sizes to reach statistical significance with the results. We're working towards that. Until then, we'll compare more data in this way and share where possible. To be honest, one thing that Gavin has above me is the fact he has loads of data sizes from Stora. And he actually asked me, by the way, just so you know, he asked me if he could share, first of all, before he's ever posted, he asked me if I could share, if he could share my data. And obviously I share my own data anyway, so I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. However, Gavin probably can't share other people's data because they rightly so probably don't want to be as open. But Gavin has access to a lot more data than I have, whether it's 40, 50, 60 sites that his software manages. He has access to that data where I don't. I can't see that data. And maybe that Gavin has other data that proves his point, but he can't put it out there because obviously yes, he manages that data, if you like, with the software, but it's not his data. He can't go and talk about other people's companies unless he gets permission beforehand, like he has done with me. Ultimately, we don't care if a customer shows or hides their prices, and we intentionally support both with Stora. That is true. They do intentionally support both, but I don't believe that they don't care what the outcome is here. I think they've got skin in the game, and we'll get into that later. But we want our customers' businesses to do well. Yeah, absolutely. But just for their own benefit. I'll start again. But we want our customers' businesses to do well, not just for our own benefits, but also because our long-term success is tied to our customers' long-term success. That is 100% true. We want definite data that shows our customers how to build the best possible self-storage business so we can all improve together. Well, I love that. Absolutely. We will keep working hard to do that. And he bloody does work hard. In the meantime, this data suggests showing prices is the best way to run your self-storage business in both competitive and non-competitive markets. So show your prices, winky face. puts a note here. Thanks, Dean, for letting me share this data. Right. So firstly, I want to reiterate that I actually consider Gavin a friend. So please, I don't know why I keep saying, it's probably making more out of it now because I feel uncomfortable because I'm publicly disagreeing with somebody I consider a friend. And without Gavin, by the way, I probably wouldn't have had the growth that we've had. The criteria that we look for all came from, or the fundamentals of it, the foundation of it, all came from a conversation that I had with Gavin, and the light bulb just hit, and I was like, shit, there we go, brilliant. And it was a fantastic moment, and that has elevated my success massively. So I've got so much admiration and respect, but it doesn't mean that you can't disagree with people. It's like your family. You love them, you respect them, you like them, but it doesn't mean you can't disrespect them. And by the way, do you know what? As you probably noticed, I do like making a bit of a splash in the industry. I do like ruffling some feathers, but Gavin is not one of those people I like ruffling feathers, because I like the original gangsters, original people in self-storage. I love the fact that they don't like containers. So I did a container week. I love the fact I did that I do think that people are giving me grief and Rennie grief about how much we support the industry and want outside people to come in. I want more people to come in the industry because a rising tide lifts all boats. So again, I want to ruffle feathers there. I like it and not because I don't like them people. I've got a lot of admiration, a lot of respect for them as well. But it's just because the world is built on different opinions, and so many of us, we just dare disagree with people, or we dare disagree, but only behind closed doors, only behind the face. And I think there's nothing wrong with disagreeing. There's nothing wrong with having two decisions of where the Self-Storage Association should be going and which direction. And should I be putting out so much information for people to come and disrupt the industry and therefore be my competition? Somebody's got a different opinion, but there's probably no right and wrong. It's individuals' opinions. So with that being said, let's get into the crux of the matter then. And as you can tell, I have thought about this a long time. Right, so I put here, I love your data, buddy, and I love the fact that we had debate in this. This is where improvements come. Okay, so here are my thoughts, and I'm reading this, by the way, so if you're watching this on LinkedIn or YouTube or whatever, I'm not actually looking at the camera. Right, I don't think this criteria would hit any criteria of a scientific test. I know it's almost impossible to compare data because of the sample size we've got, and obviously you want a higher sample size. The bigger the sample size, the better the results and the more dependable the results. I think we all agree on that. And the problem is that if you do A versus B split testing, it's always going to be a different time of year. It's so difficult to do. And so I don't think, first of all, I don't think this is a particularly scientific test. And I believe that Gavin is squeezing this data to fit his own narrative. I'll get to his own narrative in a minute. Right, so at the minute, we're only comparing 141 days versus 39 days. I mean, that in itself is a very lopsided, small sample size. So straight away, there's massive holes there because 39 days versus 141 days, it's not big enough. It's not like for starters. And even if it was 141 days, isn't a lot. And like Gavin correctly says, it was different seasons as well. So that has a big impact. And here's a note. When you open a facility, so he's comparing the first comparison is that my first 141 days, when you first open a facility, you are marketing that facility for the 2 or 3 months before that. So you know that you're going to be opening. So you are trying to get customers. Every single call that we're getting from the other side of Hull, we're saying, listen, we're opening up Clough Road. Do you want to, come at Clough Road, explain the situation, explain how well it is, how nice it is. And so we're already marketing that facility. So when we open the doors, you want to hit the door running. And Gavin hasn't taken any of that into account. And so then 141 days, although we only, how many square foot moving did we get? We got per day, we got 41.7 square foot moved in per day. But if it's just for them 141 days, it'd be a lot less than that because we had a pipeline of people that had already reserved and wanted to move in. But we couldn't move them in yet because obviously we weren't open, but we was pre-marketing it. And if you compare the 39 days, we hadn't pre-marketed that. So we had a standing start. So straight away, again, the figures are lopsided. Them 141 days included a big run-up, a big marketing campaign for, I say big marketing campaign, that's a bit unfair. I want to be as fair as possible in this debate because there's no point in exaggerating. Okay, I want a big marketing campaign, but we did certainly tell our customers from from when they rang up Hull, tell them about Clough Road, because obviously I want as much people to move in as possible. Clough Road, I want to hit the ground running. So that 141 days, it includes that run-up period. And when we definitely had, I don't know how many it was between 5 and 7 people. So it wasn't a lot, but it was significant enough to make a difference in those figures. So we didn't have, and in the 39 days, we didn't have anything in the pipeline because that's why we turned it over, because we just weren't getting the reservations that we wanted. What's the next point? Oh yeah, and so Gavin actually said to me that it was an extraordinarily busy period. So again, Gavin's comparing a very, very busy period for him, which I don't think he would know better than me, obviously, because it's his self-storage. He would know better than me. I think that was an extraordinarily busy period for him. That was his words to me. And so he's comparing a very, very busy period of time for him. And that period of time is just a norm for us now. We are churning out reservations. And the problem is the next, you probably can't take any data from after 39 days from us, because we've increased all prices. And by the way, in them 39 days as well, another point, in them 39 days, there was a price increase. We increased prices. And so, yes, if you compare 141 days versus 39 days, then 39 days, we had a price increase in there after about 20 days. So halfway through that, we increased the prices, which is obviously going to affect your conversion rate. And why did we do that? Because we was filling up too fast. And now we've increased the prices again because we're filling up too fast. And so we had to increase the prices. So in them 141 days that Gavin is using as an example, as his data, we was rock bottom prices. In the 39 days, subsequently, we wasn't. We was higher prices. We're getting higher price per square foot. So again, it's not like for like. That's why we can't compare the next 39 days, because it will be lower. It will be lower because we've increased our prices another 20%. So we've increased another, from the 141 days, we increased 20%, and then we've increased them again 20%. So we're consistently increasing our prices. Why? Because fill up. That's why it's so hard to actually have a correct sample size and compare, because depending on what position you are in, what occupancy you are at, then the prices are going to change. And so it's so difficult. And it's so difficult for Gavin as well as me. And I would suggest that in them time, in the 141 days versus 39 days, I would suggest there's no price increase for Gavin, where I'm just going to write this down here because I haven't actually put it in my notes in case I do write a LinkedIn post, price increase in the 39 days. Yeah, so I would say that Gavin didn't actually have a price increase in his 39 days afterwards, where we did. So again, that will affect conversion rates. Let's have a look. According to your figure, okay, let's go. Let's say Gavin's figures are absolutely correct. So according to Gavin's figures, if you take them as gospel, because obviously I've made some points above and there's going to be some more points below as well, it's 10% busier on a daily basis. And so what you've got to work out is how much square foot is that? So I've worked out, this from Gavin's figures alone, it's around about 2,000 square foot extra by showing prices. And so what you've got to, and if it is accurate, testing, if it is accurate testing A versus B, 141 days versus 39 days, if it is accurate, you've got to work out, is showing prices 2,000 square foot a month better off? That's what it is for me. And how much is your lifetime value of a customer? How many customers do you get in that period, in that 2,000 square foot? Sorry, it's not too... just one second. I don't want to get this data wrong. I'm just going to pause it. Sorry, take that back. It's not 2,000 square foot extra. It's 200 square foot extra. I was thinking 2,000 square foot. Well, it's no brainer. Obviously, 2,000 square foot. Holy shit. No, the reason I thought it was 2,000 square foot, or the reason why I got confused there was 2,000 square foot is the extra, but it's 10% extra because we increased by 10%. So it's actually 200 square foot. So you've got to actually work out whether the price per square foot, is it actually worthwhile? And how much is a square foot worth to you? And it's all about the numbers, knowing your numbers. For me, it would still be worthwhile because of the price we get per square foot and the lifetime value and et cetera, et cetera. So it'd be still worthwhile, even if Gavin's figures are accurate, and even if we can compare A versus B. I'm not saying Gavin's figures are accurate, by the way, because they are. Obviously, they're very accurate. Gavin's figures would be more accurate than mine. That's a bit of a downer on me. No, my figures are accurate, but well, I've just said a wrong figure. But what I mean is that even if we can take them as gospel, A versus B split testing, which I don't think we can, and there's reasons why the figures are more disparaging. So yeah, including them, it's 200 square foot and a month, and I think that works well for me because we know that the average lifetime value at Beverley, for example, is £1,208, and that's for an average unit of 75 square foot. And so so if we just do that, 1,208 divided by 75, which means it's £16 times by 200. So it's 3. So it actually works out at the lifetime value of a customer. And the reason I'm using Beverley, not Willoughby, is because Beverley's a mature site. And so Gavin's is a more, is it more mature site? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's a mature site. It means £3,221 per month difference. And so could you get somebody for £2,000 a month? Of course you could. So that's how much it makes a difference for just little things make a massive difference. 200 square foot, it compounds over time. And yes, we're very, very good at revenue management. It doesn't mean other people can't be good at revenue management. We get a very, very good bang for our buck in terms of price per square foot, but that's in the north of England. So if you're in the south, it'll be even more, mind you, but wages will be more as well. So it's all relatable. So £3,221 extra I would get if that is a gospel A versus B split testing. For me, it's 100% the right thing to do then, because not only that, I know I'm looking after my customers. I don't think there's any argument in this. I'm looking after my customers better by having their details and talking them through the process than you would be if I didn't call them, if I wasn't there by step helping them. Right? I know that this has gone on for 22 minutes already, so I'm going to have to rocket through some of these. I haven't halfway through yet. Buckle up, Gavin. Right. Right. Okay. So you're also a more mature facility than Clough Road. 100% more mature facility than Clough Road because we've only just opened. So you would expect the local community to know who you are. We are getting, at Willoughby, we are getting more quotes in year 2 than we were in year 1. More quotes in year 3 than we were getting in year 2. More quotes in year 4 than we're getting in year 3, and so on and so on. So we are comparing like for like. You're comparing a mature facility quotes to a non-mature facility. Bang! I'm good with words. And so I think that falls down. So again, that we would be expecting better results if it was a mature facility. And I know the A versus B, the dates and stuff, the 141 days versus 39 days, it was still a non-mature facility, but I still think that holds water, that argument. What else? We've had 4 out of all the bookings we've had, and I'm going to have to log into Store here to get this. I should have had this data ready. Let's have a look. Right, so we have had analytics, occupancy. Here we go. So we've had, say for example, 40 move-ins. We've got 40 occupied, and so at the time of doing this data, we've got 40 people, actual customers, and so that's not the people reserved as well. So we've got about 12 reservations on there as well. So if we added them, it'd be even worse. Out of those 70, we've only had 4 people that have moved in completely online with no assistance from us. That, my friends, is crazy. So I mean, 4 people out of 70 move-ins have needed some sort of help from us and some sort of persuasion from us. And so would we have got less move-ins? Absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt. Yeah, I put here, who knows what would have happened if we wouldn't, how many of them would have booked if we didn't follow up. But the truth of the matter is we don't know. And so it's okay me saying that, bringing this to light, but ultimately I can't prove it. I can't prove that we wouldn't have had them 70. But all I can prove by fact is that we've only had 4 people that's moved in without any assistance from us, which is absolutely bananas. So let's just get a percentage. So 94% of our move-ins have needed our assistance. So only 6% of people, 5.8% of people actually have moved in without any assistance. I mean, that's mind-boggling. And yes, Gavin's point is that the websites need to do a better job. 100% agree. But unfortunately, it's a new product in self-storage for a lot of people. And so a lot of people just don't understand self-storage and need help. And just put a note here. We had a booking today on a callback 2, I can't say for certain that they wouldn't have booked if we didn't have called, but they actually moved in that very, very same day. And the problem that we've got is that if we wouldn't have called that person back, we've got loads of competition around us, Armadillo included, a big national company that do callbacks, that do speak to their customers, that do help them. Big Yellow do it, Safe Store do it, Armadillo do it, Storage King does it, Shoreguard does it. And so, Shoreguard, did I show the price actually? Anyway, you get the point. And so would we have actually got that customer to move in that very, very day, or would they have gone somewhere else? What happens if Armadillo would have rang them up? Because it sure as hell people just don't just get one quote. Like Gavin's self-storage, they're probably, again, I can't speak for Gavin on this, but I believe there's only him as a self-storage owner in that area. So they only go to him. And so with us, they're going to go to many, many places. It's very, very unlikely that somebody will only come to Stormore for a quote in Hull. It's very likely that they're going to go to numerous different places, other places. Other places have a callback procedure. So if we don't have a callback procedure, then we are at a disadvantage, at a big disadvantage. As you can tell with the bookings, there's definitely been an uptake. And Gavin says it's seasonal. I don't think it is seasonal. I think it's definitely got something to do with it, but I don't think it's the only reason. Right, so we've done that one. Customers don't understand self-storage. Hell, I wouldn't know what self-storage size I needed. People like to be handheld through this. An overwhelming percentage of people have never used self-storage before. Yeah, I think we've touched on that anyway. Okay, so Gavin says he doesn't have a dog in the race on this one. I believe that isn't strictly true, because I believe that Gavin and Stora market themselves, and it's a brilliant product, but I don't want to get away from it. It's a brilliant product. They market themselves to individual. Again, they'll know better than me from the outside in. It's individuals who was just starting self-storage, who don't potentially have the time to answer the phone, etc. And that's how they sell the product. They sell the products as a manless and automated software that does that. And I did look on the website to see if there was any sound bites I could use. And to be honest, it wasn't strictly down that route solely, but I've heard Gavin talk about it, and obviously the operating costs come into it. So it sounds better for Gavin. Of course it does. If Gavin doesn't have, if he can prove that you don't need staff to run a self-storage facility, obviously it means that more people be interested, because like, oh wow, because that's a big headline. You know, a manless facility, all automated. That is it's better for me. It's better for Gavin. It's better for everybody. So I do believe that Gavin does have a dog in the race. I believe that ultimately Stora would definitely rather have the data to prove that a manless facility works. I think that's the narrative that they're pushing, and they want the data to prove it. And I just don't believe the data's there yet to go there. And by the way, I do think at some point in the future it will happen. I want it to happen. I do have a dog in this race as well. I have a dog in the race that I don't want to spend tons and tons of money on staff. We're looking at getting another staff member because of this. I don't want to have to pay 30 grand or whatever it is, 20. I'm being particularly vague with the amounts we spend, but I don't want to have to pay another staff member. So I have a dog in the race. I would much rather the data tell me that we don't show prices, because then my staff could concentrate on being customer service representatives that can go and do so many other things around the area. You know, they can start getting businesses in. They can go around business. They can do loads of. They can do so much more. They don't have to be doing callbacks all day. And I think they'd enjoy it as well. But unfortunately, that's not the data that we're seeing. If the data was suggesting that, I don't consider myself a stupid person. I would 100% want to do that. If the data suggests that it was a manless facility and we could do it without staff, 100%. And the beauty of it is as well, in America, I'm in a mastermind, America, AJ Osborne's mastermind, and they are massive on manless automated facilities, but they still do callbacks. They still have people in the office. They still make sure, and this is America. We're 10, 15 years ahead of us. They still haven't got to the point where it's completely manless, automated, and it's hands off. It's just not the case yet. I would love it to be, because, like I said, I've got a dog in the race. It saved me extra money, £400 a week, £500 a week, on £600 a week. I'm being vague again. £700, £800 a week, £1,000 a week. It would save me a lot of money if we didn't have to do that. And the more I expand, then the more money I would save. So obviously, I want Gavin's data to be correct. I want that because it's the best for me. It's the best for everybody apart from staff, because then there's not going to be as much. Obviously, the staff I've got now, whatever, I would never. We need them anyway because he was so busy anyway. But it just means that I wouldn't have to go out and get more staff. So yes, I do think Gavin's got a dog in the race. I've got a dog in the race. Unfortunately, the dog in the race that I've got is losing, in my opinion. And Gavin's dog in his race, he wants the same outcome as me. We both want the same outcome, but we're just interpreting these figures differently. And subconsciously, it might be to fit his narrative. I'm not saying consciously, subconsciously, it might be going that way to fit his narrative. Right. What else? I put here, as an operator, I am truly impartial. And I put, well, actually, scrap that. I'm not impartial. I do want, ultimately, I want to save money on staffing. But unfortunately, that's that point now. And by the way, I've got an absolute kicker to finish this all off with. I love the kicker. I put here, you are not comparing our data to the problem. You are not comparing our data, but the problem with our data is not equal. We have fundamental differences. I'm just saying here that the problem is that this goes on to the points at the top I've made, that I don't believe that this sample size is. I don't think we can conclude anything to it. It could be more to Gavin's point. It could be more to my point. I just don't think we can read anything at all into this sample size. And if we do, I still think that it's resting on my side of the fence. And the reason I don't think it, number one, we're comparing bloody different countries. Gavin's self-storage is in a different country than mine. Gavin has no competition. I have tons of competition. Gavin's is a mature facility. Mine isn't a mature facility. Gavin's dated 141 days and we didn't show prices. We was 20% cheaper at the bare minimum, and now we're more expensive. So there's so much data there that we can't. It's not accurate to compare the data. We are the most expensive in the area as well. Gavin's might not be it is the most expensive in the area because it's the only one in the area. So it's very, very hard. And I know why Gavin's done it, because it's the only data we've got. We don't have too much more data. So yes, we need to get this data and compare it, but we've got to be very, very careful here, because it isn't a good sample size. It's two different size self-storages. Or is it? Actually, I don't know. It's definitely different. His is a town, mine's a city. I have competition, he doesn't. Different countries. And so whatever Gavin did, whichever way he did it, then it would work, because he's the only self-storage in a fairly big town. And I put, you call it hiding prices. We're not hiding prices. It's behind an information wall, God damn it. So yeah, I know that my team pointed that, because I said, listen, look at Gavin's post. Has he got a point? What's your opinions? Because I wanted other people's opinions on this as well. Because it's okay, because I think we get emotionally attached to our opinion. You do, I do, everybody does. And therefore you will battle to the nth degree to make sure your opinion is correct. And sometimes it's good to take a step backwards and ask other people's opinions who don't really care too much. Obviously, they're my team, so they're probably more than likely going to subscribe to what I believe, because that's the way I kind of train them. It's like a cult. And so they wanted me to highlight, it's not hiding price. It's not like you've got to email for a price. All you've got to do is give us some basic information, and then boom. And the problem is, another big fundamental problem with not showing your prices is you have no bloody idea where your customers are coming from. Are they coming from Google? Are they coming from passing? Are they coming from word of mouth? Are they coming from used before? You need that data. That data is critical to anybody's success in marketing, in any industry. You need it. We need it in self-storage. Here's my favorite point. I put, so this is my kicker. Here's my favorite point. We are comparing like for like. So I'm comparing my data and making my decisions on like for like. The only dilution of the data is going to be the time period. Yes, you are more busier in the summer, obviously, than the winter, but that's the only thing we can do. And so I'm comparing like for like, or as near as like for like as I possibly can. We have tried both ways, and we believe as a team what works best. Now, Gavin, you have only ever tried one way. You haven't tried to show your prices, or you've only showing your prices. You haven't shown hiding your prices. I hate that word, behind an information wall. So you're making judgments based on you only trying one method. It's like trying one pudding and saying, this is my favorite pudding in the whole wide world. And that's the only pudding I've tried, but I know that's my favorite pudding, but you haven't tried any other pudding. So how do you know? It'd be better for you to compare it to your own data. If you started doing follow-up procedures and follow-up process, I genuinely don't understand why you don't, because then you can see from both sides of a fence. You're looking at the fence from one side. So you're behind the fence looking at one side. If you did a real test and you compared apples for apples and compared showing your prices versus hiding your prices, then you're not just behind one fence. You're actually sitting on the fence and you can see both boundaries. You can see both sides of a fence. But if you've only done one, you can only see that side. You can't see the other side. You've never experienced it. You don't know if it's good, bad, indifferent, because you've got no first-hand experience. So I think that's the kicker. I've tried it both ways. I and my team both knows what we believe works anyway. And so try it the other way as well. And therefore, you'd have a bigger voice on this opinion, because yes, you've got loads of sample sizes from other companies, but we've got first-hand experience. We've got something that you don't have right now, first-hand experience. We've got that. You don't have that yet. And so I would love you to put that up there. And I know that I feel really bad now, but so Gavin's put it on his LinkedIn social media about that he believes that this way is best, and I put it on my mode of communication. The podcast I believe is best. I believe the best thing for us to do is have a conversation and have it on the podcast, and hopefully, do you know what? Even if we agree, even if Gavin persuades me, or even if I persuade Gavin, which is best, we still won't know. We've got to remember that. We still don't know. We're both using our best estimates to guess what's right and what's wrong and what's the best way to move forward as an industry. And we're not going to know. We're probably, last time I spoke to Gavin, he said that he thinks that we'll have accurate data in about 2 years. And I probably think that's correct. Anything before that isn't a big enough sample size. And you couldn't go on from the year. The problem is, as well, I started thinking, well, why don't we compare yearly data? And then so I can show my data this year compared to last year at the same period, doing the exact opposite. But then the problem is that the economic climate changes so much, coronavirus, the war, the inflation. And so again, you still can't accurately compare. You still can't get an accurate A versus B split test. I know Daniel from Storage Mart put a post on that saying that he's doing the split test and doing exactly what we're talking about. And that'd be fantastic if it is a split test it's got to be a big sample size. It can't be a small sample size. That, I think, is the crux of the matter. And one self-storage company, Storage Mart is fairly big, but one self-storage company doing a split test, some customers seeing prices, some customers not. I still don't think you're going to see a big enough sample size. It's got to be thousands to even start to be anywhere near conclusive. I mean, scientists will chuck you out if it's only thousands. Yes, we can start pointing to a direction, but I'm really, really interested to see what Daniel comes up with, because yes, it's going to be a small sample size, but it's going to be so interesting to see that somebody's actually testing A versus B in real time. And we don't have the capacity to do that. We don't have the capacity to start interchanging. We're not a big enough company to start to see. Some people will see this website, some people will see that. Some people will go down this customer route, this funnel. Some people go down this customer funnel. We just can't do that. We fundamentally don't have enough people in our team to do it. We don't have the expense. We're not big enough. And Daniel, I think, is doing something that could be fantastic. I don't think Gavin could do that on his website either, because he doesn't know. Well, the reason why I mean that Gavin can't do it is because we don't have enough traffic. It would take years to have enough traffic to conclusively say which way or the other. Taking, for example, forward move-ins to take customers' details. We had to get 100 reservations, and it took 2.5 months. Even 100 reservations isn't a massive sample size, but the difference between expired reservations and cancelled reservations in taking people's details and doing part of the moving process straight away when they're reserved was massive. The difference was massive. It went from 14% cancellation and expired reservations to just 2%. So that difference there is huge. And it's only 100. It's only a small sample size of 100, but it's substantial enough to make a conclusive decision, the best of our ability. Anyway, I've really enjoyed this. I love it. And hopefully we'll have. I've just got a note here. See James's email. Hopefully, we'll have Gavin on the podcast as well to talk about this. Hopefully, sometime next week we can get it. So James wrote me an email. Why don't leads book online after you have put their details in? Only takes a few clicks. How come most people book over the phone? Again, I don't know this data because I'm not the person taking the calls, but he put people put the details in. It only takes a few clicks to book. Why don't they? How come most people book over the phone? He put here, how does this data suggest that the uplift has down? He's put in speech marks Gavin's thingy. How this data suggests that the uplift has been down entirely to the time of year and not the switch of hiding prices. And James put basically, how does he know this? Is he a storage god? Lots of last smiley faces. Put haha. And then I admit showing your prices in the future, it will be all that way but it's 10 years time. For now, it's best for us to continue the old-fashioned way. Gavin's way works for him. Our way works for us. How many customers is a good question. How many customers is Gavin missing out on who see the prices but aren't that educated enough about storage, just end up going with the cheapest option? Well, probably none, because Gavin's got he has no competition. So it probably not going to lose out to the competition. Right, I think this is a great debate, and it's going to go on and on and on. Do you know what? Because I can't prove I'm right. Gavin can't prove he's right. Nobody can prove. It's all an opinion. And for me, the fundamental thing is that we've seen both sides of the fence. We believe that we know what works best for us. And we believe that for the customer's point of view, yes, it's a small friction point to put your details in, but all our competition does it, so it's not a friction point that other people aren't doing around us anyway. Even if it was, I still think it's a small price to pay to educate and help assist your customer. If you care about your customer, don't take the easy route for you, because a manless facility, automated online, is easy for you, but I can guarantee you it's not easier for the customers. It definitely isn't easier for the customers. The customers, and like I say, we've got four people out of 70 have booked, and we've got all the reservations as well, another 12 reservations. So 96% of people have booked talking to us because we've helped educate them. But not only that, people need educating on the size of the unit they need. They need help understanding. Don't forget, it's technology. The app. Sometimes they don't understand the app, so we talk them through it. We give them a video, and we actually talk them through it, explain the situation first before they go into the site. And so we handhold the customers. We handhold the customer as much as we possibly can do to make sure their experience is a good one. Because the last thing we want to do is a confused customer. A confused customer doesn't buy. A confused customer doesn't buy again. A confused customer doesn't tell their friends about you. So what we want to get away from is confusing our customers. And by speaking to your customers, and yes, it might cost you more money, but the results, I believe, far outweigh the expense. And even if it didn't, I think it's worthwhile, because for me, we start with our customers and work backwards. And the only thing that showing the prices versus hiding the prices, the only thing that is better for the customer is not putting in a couple of details. But the customers are used to that anyway. It's not unheard of. It's normal. But that is the only advantage for the customer. The rest of the customer experience is a lot better by having contact with the customer. So for me, it's all about the customer. Start with your customer. As Mr. Bezos says, start with your customer and work backwards. I truly believe that this is best for the customer. I got a comment. Gavin somebody put a comment, and it really, really riled me. And on one of Gavin's posts, let's see, I'll just get it really quickly. Tracking quote this is a different argument. Tracking quote conversions, but not showing rates on their website is like fishing without a pole. No, that's completely wrong. It's completely wrong, because it's industry dependent, and it's not only that person's from America as well, so it's different in America than England. You're not weighing up all the factors, and so I just don't think that is a correct. I don't think that's a correct comment to make, and so I as much as I like riling people, I just don't have time for it all the time, because I see comments I disagree with, and if I had the time, I'd love it, because it's like fishing, and and you get a little bite and stuff. I love that. I really enjoy that. But yeah, some comments I just I just fundamentally don't agree with. And that, unfortunately, was one of them. And by the way, this is what's great about life, because if we all agreed, it'd be bloody boring. But as you can see, we clearly have different opinions in the self-storage industry. It's not just Gavin. It's not just me. There's numerous people who back Gavin up. There's numerous people who back me up. And it's great, because the more we talk about it, the more we have these debates, the more we have these arguments, disagreements, the better, because we're putting all the cards on the table and saying, look, this is all the data I've got. Here's my flush. Here's my, the in poker. This is what I've got. Here's my cards. What are your cards? And then the more and more we show and tell, the more and more educated decisions that we get to. And so, yeah, I love it. I think it's fantastic. Wow. Holy shit. 47 minutes. Oh, this has been a crazily long podcast, but I loved it. I loved it, every single second of it. So, yeah, let's get Gavin on the podcast and we'll discuss it, and we'll see what will come of it. Hopefully we'll still be friends. I'm kidding. All right. See you soon, guys. Love you. Appreciate you. See you tomorrow. Bye. Oh, by the way, before you go, I've got a special episode tomorrow. It's about your website marketing. It's called the Grunt Test. Make sure you check it out, because it's going to be a great episode. All right. Love you. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.